All right, so trying to do a couple things today. First, going to do a little shakedown on this bike that I just got here a couple weeks ago. 2016 BMW R1200GS Adventure with 27,000 miles on it. Additionally, I'm trying to kind of do some test on some tech stuff here. I've got my Insta360 X4 camera and the mini remote and the new, or fairly new I think, or new to me, Insta360 Air microphone, which I have mounted inside my helmet here. So kind of playing with a few different things. It's about 53 degrees on the 3rd day of February here in central Montana, so seemed like a good day to get out and put a few miles on this and just kind of give everything a test go. Alright, looks like we're recording now. Still trying to figure out the kinks on this little remote and how many button presses it takes to wake it up and make it start recording and all that kind of stuff. So like I said earlier, I'm using an Insta360 X4. I've got the X5 out now, but X4 is what I've got, and so far it seems to be working good. I've got it paired with the Insta360 mini remote, which you can see on my left-hand handlebar here. Like I said, other than some quirks trying to figure out what buttons, or what number of button presses I need to push to make it wake up the camera and start recording, etc. It seems to work pretty well. It comes with a handy little mount that uses a heavy-duty rubber band to mount it to either your handlebar or like your selfie stick. Pretty much anything round and less than about 1.5 inches in diameter you can mount it to. So that's handy. Hopefully it's just a learning curve on my end and get it figured out. I've also got it paired with the Insta360 Air microphone, which I currently have mounted inside my helmet. So I'm curious to see how the sound quality will be. My helmet's not the quietest. I get a decent bit of wind noise, but I also have the wind muff mounted to the mic, so I've used it outside and it's been pretty effective at muting wind noise. So I guess we'll see how it does on muting in helmet wind noise. Doing about 65 miles an hour. So it's a little bit windy, but not too bad. About 53, maybe 54 degrees outside. So just too nice not to ride today. And give me a chance to kind of mess with some of this stuff. You may have noticed I'm missing my left-hand mirror. I bought the bike this way. They had stripped out the mirror mount, and when the prior owner tried to put the new mirrors on, it stripped out again and ended up breaking the bolt off, as you can see. So waiting on the mirror mount bracket part from BMW. The prior owner ordered it, but they sent me the wrong one initially, so just waiting on the correct one to show up now, and then I'll get my other mirror put back on. Riding a little route going out Canyon Ferry Road to Canyon Ferry Lake. This will take us out over Canyon Ferry Dam. We'll then take a left onto Jimtown Road, which is a dirt road. A few miles of that up over the hills, and that'll connect us to York Road, which leads us to the town of York. If we want to go that way, we don't have time to go all the way up to York today. There's really not much there other than a few houses and a bar. But there's a fun little canyon that will ride back down over Hauser Lake on York Bridge and then back into town. This is a pretty common little loop that I'll ride. Usually takes 45 minutes to an hour to ride. Mostly pavement, a little bit of twisties on the way back in, a little bit of dirt coming over Jimtown Road. So seems like the perfect way to get a little bit of a feel for my new adventure bike. We're going to drop down here and you'll just start to see the lake. Usually this time of year it's covered in ice, but we've been so unusually warm that it doesn't seem to be the case at all. It's usually iced over from about the first of the year until early March. kind of a fun little twisty bit. Little more sketchy this time of year, as there tends to be some debris in the road and sometimes the rocks fall down off the hillside, but not too bad today in terms of how much stuff is on the roadway. Pretty good view of the lake off to the right hand side there. I think it's probably 4 or 5 miles maybe of dirt, may not even be quite that far. Takes us up over the hills here and drops us into the drainage on the other side that takes you up to York. This is a pretty well used county road, so it's just pretty much hard pack. Tiny bit of loose gravel on top here and there, but pretty easy riding for the most part. You can see a little evidence off to my right there of the Horse Gulch fire from I think 2 summers ago now. Burned quite a bit. A little bit cooler up here in the mountains, probably a little underdressed if we're being honest for the weather, but just enough to make sure you stay awake and stay sharp. Can confirm the heated grips on the bike are working well, because I'm definitely using that feature now. I had a 2007 BMW R1200GS Adventure, actually the same colorway as this one, so they look very much alike. My son rides that now, and I haven't ridden that in a little while, so can't quite compare apples to apples, but the ride on this is definitely much more plush compared to that bike. 2007, they didn't have a whole lot of options. There were no ride modes or anything like that. It was pretty basic. Did have ABS, I think you could shut off and on, but that was about it. We've reached the top of Jimtown Road here. I don't recall if this little hill has a name, but now we'll drop down into the drainage here on the other side. I think it might be Beaver Creek that runs down through York. So this is a fun little twisty bit riding down here. Just leave the camera on for the next couple minutes because this little bit is fun. This one does tend to get a lot of gravel and sand on the roadway, so I'm not gonna go too crazy, but nonetheless it is a fun little ride, especially when the road's dry and clear like it is right now. Tires have a little bit of road noise, it sounds like, but it's not obnoxious. Definitely looking forward to getting back into the sunlight, because in the shadows it's a little bit chilly. This bike is also equipped with a quick shifter, which is something I'm not really playing with at the moment, but getting used to. So it'll actually kind of blip the throttle for you electronically going up or down. I've played with it a little bit just kind of on some straight stretches, and it definitely makes upshifting quicker. But you don't even have to use the clutch to do it when you're using the quick shifter. It's kind of a bit of a change for me, but something that I think it'll be fun once I get the hang of it. There's one of the prettiest little parts right here coming through the rocks. Gets a little bit tight there sometimes, especially when you meet some traffic coming the other way. I have to do a little research. I can't remember if this bike has linked brakes. Some of them, when you grab the front brake, it automatically will use both brakes, and I can't recall if this one has that or not. I want to say I think it does, but this bike has a ton of features, especially compared to my older 2007, so it's hard to remember all of them, and being as new as it is to me, I haven't quite figured it all out yet. But now we hit York Bridge here over the Missouri River, or Hauser Lake as it is. A little bit of ice over here. Mostly just an audio test. This is 80 miles an hour, cruising down the road here. Quite a bit of wind noise in my helmet, so I'm curious to see how much of it this mic is able to muffle, if it's on. There's also a noise reduction setting on this microphone, which I don't believe is turned on currently, so we'll try that too, but I guess we'll see. Alright, on the last little segment of our ride here, so I just thought I'd give a wrap up. So far, the bike is great. I'm really happy with it. This thing just glides along. More power than you could ever need. One thing that I always watch for, since I'm fairly tall, is the amount of wind buffeting I get, which, even though this windscreen doesn't look like a whole lot, it actually does a pretty good job of diverting the wind up over the top of my helmet, it feels like, even at highway type speeds. So we'll see how it does when I get more miles on it, but so far it feels pretty good. Everything important is working. Be glad when I have my other mirror, because it's weird, I keep looking and it's not there. Just so far though, pretty darn happy with this purchase. Can't wait to put a ton of miles on it, have a lot of rides planned for this year. We'll see. Last year we had a really, really wet summer with lots of rain, especially it seemed like on my days off. So did not get nearly as many rides or as many miles last year as I'd hoped, but we'll see how it goes. Considering it's only the first week of February and I'm already out riding some, it seems to bode well for at least more miles than last year. The Insta system I'm starting to get figured out. I'm curious to look at the footage and see what the audio sounds like, but my little bit that I've played with the mic on my phone, the audio quality is really good in general, so depending on what the viewpoint on the video angle is, I may need to upgrade to the bigger selfie stick. This is just the basic one that comes with the kit when you buy it, but they make, I think, a carbon fiber one that's a good bit longer and more rigid, so this one bounces around a decent bit. I've not noticed it being a big problem before, but we'll see how the video looks when I get it on the computer. The extra clamp that I bought seems to be working very well. I have to say, in general, I've been really impressed so far with Insta360's accessories for their cameras, especially some of their mounting options. The base mount for the handlebars is great. If you buy the motorcycle kit, it comes with that, along with a whole bunch of other accessories that I think it's $50 for the kit, which is really reasonable for everything that it comes with. And that main mount for your handlebars is the most solid mount that I think I've seen, even over some of the Ram type mounts and everything else. And then their kind of double-ended clamp that they have to brace the selfie stick so you can extend it way back like I have it now seems rock solid as well. So far, like I said, really impressed with all of their accessories that I've purchased. The mini remote, now that I'm starting to get the hang of it, I think I'm pretty happy with. I don't love where I have it mounted necessarily. Also, it kind of wiggles around a little bit more than I would like. It's not bad, but when you press the button, it tends to want to rotate on you, so I may have to try and find a different spot to mount it. I think I may be able to mount it here, kind of in the other orientation, which would be a little bit easier to hit with my thumb instead of having to move my hand off the bar, and might be able to keep it from rotating. So play with that a little bit when I get a chance. Other than that, pretty much back to home base now, so I'm going to wrap this video up. Hope you've enjoyed it, and hope you get a chance to get out and ride soon if you haven't yet.